Welcome back, Better Everyday podcast listeners. I'm your host, Brad Weems, live here from Market Street Media downtown. Today's guest is a nurse practitioner here locally, Ballot Health, a former track athlete at ETSU, and a fitness enthusiast. Today's guest is Hannah Webb. What is up, Hannah?
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming down. Is this your first guest uh, on a podcast, or is this first time you've been a guest on a podcast?
Yes, it is.
Well, we're going to break you in good here today.
I'm
So,
sure I'll get broken in very good.
all right, tell our listeners about you. Anything.
So my name's Hannah. I'm from Pennington Gap, Virginia. Moved to Johnson City in 2007 to go to ETSU pursuit of nursing school,
Okay.
where I've since got my master's of science in nursing, and I'm currently working as an inpatient neurology nurse practitioner.
Good. So, when did you get into sports and fitness growing up?
So I'll start off by saying that running
Okay.
was my first love. Like I've ran ever since I was very small, and pretty competitive. I played other sports too here and there, like basketball, volleyball, but like track was my thing. Um,
So, when you talk about loving running at an early age, like what age are we talking?
like kindergarten,
Really?
and
It's like torture when you're 5.
no.
No? Like, um, I've got some friends, the Mazels, for
Mhm.
example. They always post pictures and videos of their son, Hugh, out there running. And I'm like, if I told my kids to go out and run distance right now,
Mhm.
they would just laugh at me.
No, I mean, well, I grew up in the country, so like I was
Okay.
always outside, always, just always doing something outside. And I literally like just run laps around the house. Like I would have a goal and be like, oh, I'm gonna run, this many laps just to be active.
Are you timing yourself at this point?
I did,
Yeah.
but I don't remember any of those times.
So did you run your first race?
Um, are you talking?
Like an organized race.
Well, I mean, they had like field days and stuff.
Right.
Elementary school's pretty competitive with that.
Okay.
And
But
then I would,
like a 5K, for example.
I didn't do 5Ks competitively up until like college, but like in school, up even in high school, I would try to be, pretty competitive with like my mile time. So like 6-minute miles and things like
Wow.
that.
What do you run a mile today in?
I have not timed myself in forever,
Have you
so
not?
I don't know.
All right. So you graduate at EDU. What does fitness look like once you graduate and you're not running track anymore? Because a lot of times athletes, once they've been a specific sport, obviously they love fitness, but how do you know what you want to try out or do next?
Um, so I think I have to go back to high school and kind of talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that first. So where I ran, like I started out as a sprinter,
Okay.
like 100s, 200s, and eventually the coach was like, "Hey, I'm going to put you in the 400 and see how you do with that." So I did really well with that, and he was like, "Oh, you have some endurance, so let's put you in the 800." So that actually became like my race.
The
That
800.
actually, yeah, that
Okay.
I loved. So I feel like I focused a little bit more on that. Um, one day in practice, we were running. We were, working on like speed work,
Hmm.
and I was doing 100-meter sprints, like repeats. And I felt my arch pop, and I stopped, and I was like, okay, that's not normal.
Hmm.
But I didn't know my body really at that time. So I got back out there and did another, and it popped again, and I was like, oh my god, something's wrong. So I stopped and didn't do any running for the rest of the day. And the next day I came back to school, and the whole bottom of my right foot was like a dark, dark purple, like almost black.
So how old were you?
Um, 17, I think.
So did you
16,
tell your
17.
coach that day?
Yeah, he felt so bad.
Okay.
But he helped me. I had to do physical therapy, ultrasound therapy. Eventually got to the point where, I was running again, but I would compensate. And
Hmm.
still, I'd still kind of compensate because I have some hard tissue built up in my foot. that I'll find myself running a different way. So that was really frustrating. Um, and I just felt like, my times weren't like they were before.
Right.
So I didn't think that I wanted to run in college.
Okay.
I had been talked to by like King and Concord, and they were like, "Hey, you should think about coming here to run." And I was like, I don't know. I think I'm burnt out at this point." So I didn't. So I go to ETSU,
Okay.
um, and
Just as a student.
as a student, yeah,
Okay.
and I was kind of feeling like lost because I'd been an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I talked to my high school coach, and he calls me one day, and he was like, "Hey, I talked to the coach there. You know, they'll let you like walk on the team if you want." So then the coach called me, and she was like, "Hey, we've got a bag ready for you if you want to come on." So after that, I just ran with them for a couple semesters, but they also had me doing like cross country with the cross country girls, and then also doing like the 4 and the 8 and 4x4.
Did you get recruited by ETSU
No,
in high
I
school?
wasn't.
No.
Mm-mm.
So how did you know that you were going to be able to run with the caliber athlete they
Oh,
had?
I didn't know.
So how did you do
Um,
once you started, once you walked on?
I mean, I did fairly well.
Are you beating your
Um,
teammates?
I ended up, so I raced against this girl all through college, and I never beat her ever. And that was always my goal. So she actually ended up running at ETSU.
You mean in high school?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
And she ended up running at ETSU, and we did, you compete in conference
Mm-hmm.
every year. So at conference, we were running the 800, and I finally beat her. So I think I was like in eighth place, but still, you placed in conference, so that was awesome.
That's
I felt
cool.
like that was an accomplishment. So
That's awesome. So I know you're big into strength training now.
mhm.
Were you doing any strength training during that time period where you got hurt in high school? Or, going back to the question I had for you a few minutes ago. So you graduated ETSU.
Mhm.
So what does fitness look like after that?
Um, so after I graduated, like having trainers work with me, I was used to that structured plan, like, get up 5, go run 3 miles, go to class all day, come back, go practice, and then do some weight training like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So after all that, I kind of felt like lost, like what do I do? I got my job as a RN.
Mm-hmm.
Started out like nights, eventually switched to days, but I was still kind of like running here and there. And I did do weight training like intermittently, but nothing consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then I eventually went back to school for my nurse practitioner. And then I took my first MP job as a nighttime hospitalist, a nocturnalist. And I just completely stopped working out,
Like nothing, no
like
running, no.
nothing.
Okay.
I don't even think I worked out maybe for like a year.
Wow.
Um, and that wasn't like me. So I just felt lost. Like I didn't feel strong anymore. I felt very tired. Like night shift just makes you feel different in a whole different way. Um, so I was like, I need some like structure. Like I need to start back, you know. Um, so I ended up getting my neurology job that I have now, almost 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So day shift made my quality of life better. And then I actually felt better, good enough to start working out with just body weight stuff. So I literally was just in my apartment doing body weight things.
So when a person has not been working out and then they decide to start working out, I'm always interested in what makes them like get back into fitness or to start fitness. Was there a moment that you had that you're like, this is it? Like I've got to get back. I've been training for a year now. Was it?
Yeah, like my mood was off.
Yeah.
I felt very fatigued. I mean, physically, I felt weak.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like I felt like my muscles had, gone down in size. But it wasn't like the aesthetics part of it.
It was
It was
more
more
how
like the
you felt.
feeling,
Yeah.
yes, and feeling better. Um, So yeah, I just started like body weight stuff. I did CrossFit with you guys
Hmm.
for a while, and then trained with Ashley for that first half marathon.
Yep.
Um, so did that, and then eventually, I started going to Exalt with my husband
Yep.
Clint, and I would do exercises in there like weight train and running, but it was always like sporadic, and I never had a plan,
Right.
and when you kind of get back into fitness, it can kind of be intimidating because you're not at that level that you once were.
Right.
So it's different, and I identified so much with how I was previously. Um, so I was just in this different phase of my life and trying to like navigate that. Um, like I would, go around the gym doing all this, sporadic things, but I didn't ever see like any change and a certain body composition or anything. But I finally found like a workout plan and I stuck with that. I did at least like 3 to 4, you know, um, muscle group splits a week.
Yeah.
And that's probably the first time that I started seeing like body composition changes. And I was like, oh, well, this is awesome. But I started feeling better too, like more energy. My mood was better. Um, but I still was like going when I could, like
Right.
in the morning, maybe sometimes before work, or like if I was off work in the afternoon, or sometimes at night. And I just kind of, I was like, I just need to be more consistent. So I've got to get up, I've got to start my day and be more productive. So I just kept saying, I've got to get up early. I've got to get up earlier. Um, so I started putting my phone away at night, putting it across the room, and setting my alarm for 5 a.m. and getting up like as soon as it went off at 5 a.m. Not hitting snooze, not laying back down. And I was so tired in the beginning, but it was worth it because I just kept doing it over and over.
How many days did it take to become a morning person, would you say?
2 to 3 months of doing it.
60 to 90.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't like using any pre-workout in the beginning or anything like that,
Yeah.
so I was trying to let my body like wake up.
Hmm. I hear so many people that struggle with snoozing, and I guess because I have to be at work, I've never been really a snoozer. But that's an awesome little hack that you came up with there. So
I still do it.
any guys
Yeah.
that are listening that are bad about snoozing a ton, put your phone on the other side of the room.
And I mean, I will say that I have days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired, and I'll occasionally hit snooze, but for the most part, like I'm still in that habit. Like I'm still getting up 5.
Um, there's so many distractions once 8 a.m. comes
Mm-hmm.
typically. So if
Yep.
you can go ahead and front load it, you're not going to talk yourself out of it if you have a bad day, or tell yourself you're tired at the end of the day,
Yeah.
or be tempted to go to dinner with somebody. So
Yeah. It sets your whole day up. Like I've noticed such a benefit from it. Not only it's not just about going to work out, going to the gym. Like I'll get up. I try not to get on social media. I just kind of sit there. I think about things that I need to do for the day.
mm,
Be intentional about things. If I don't write it down, then I try to make like mental notes for myself, um, and just be intentional. But it's a quiet time because nobody else is awake, so that's my time.
yeah,
And then I do all the things that I needed to do, and then I go to the gym. Um, and when I'm done, I come back and I go to work, and I just feel so much better. Like I have energy, I feel less anxious, and then by the time I'm done with work, my evening is free, and I don't have to worry
yeah.
about anything.
And a lot of times you sleep better whenever you
Hmm.
get that workout first thing in the morning
Right?
and wake up early.
Yeah.
So I started 2 to 3 months ago, starting my week Monday morning with a workout at 4:30 before I teach my 5:45
Nice.
class.
Hmm.
And I think that has become like one of the most important things to me just for setting the tone for the week
Hmm.
is starting it off on the right foot.
Right.
So I'm right there with you when it comes to working out early in the morning
Yeah.
and knocking it out. it out. So
Yeah, it's great.
I was messaging Hannah 3, 4 weeks ago about being on the podcast because with her work schedule, her days off are kind of limited. So, and she shared with me, we got a little breaking news here that she has been on top of her normal work schedule and anything else that's going on in life. What have you been up to? What are you doing?
I'm currently working on my NASM certification for personal training. And I've been doing the nutrition aspect of that too. So for nutrition coaching. So I'm not done with it yet, but I'm working on it.
How far are you along?
I'm halfway
Okay,
with both.
good, good. So you're just fitting that
Just took my
in.
midterm
Okay,
and I
nice. Congrats.
thank you.
So it's easy just to go to the gym, follow this workout plan. What made you decide to pursue this certification?
Um, well, it was a personal growth, of course, like I'm always wanting to learn
Hmm.
more, learn more about the body in general, my body, like how to put certain plans together. And I mean, that obviously goes hand in hand
Right.
with fitness.
Hmm.
Because if you're not eating good, then, your fitness can be off too. But helping other people just because I feel like a lot of bad advice out there too. Um, so just being there as a useful source for somebody too.
So once you get done with the certification, what are your goals with that? What are you going to do with it?
I don't have like a strict plan in place, but I would like to work one on one with people because it's personal training, so you're getting personal with
Yep.
somebody.
Yep. So what specific, who would be your avatar personal training client?
I would probably gravitate more towards females in the beginning,
Okay.
um, and see where that goes.
Are we looking more weight loss or someone that's looking to add lean muscle tissue or maybe a little bit of both?
I would say both.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely can do that. I didn't know, what you were kind of leaning towards or thinking about, but that's cool. Have you talked to Exalt about it yet?
No, not yet.
No? Okay. Exalt, if you're listening, we need to set up a talk here pretty soon. So I doubt they are, though.
I don't know.
Who knows? All right. Typically, when it comes to strength training in females, there's this misconception of becoming bulky. How many days do you strength train a week?
5.
Would you consider yourself a bulky individual?
No, I'm 5'1". And
The
I
camera,
mean, I don't think
the
I'm
cameras
bulky.
add.
They do.
You
The
might have
abs.
massive arms when we watch the live streamer, but
I
no, you're
mean, some people like less muscle. It doesn't bother me.
yeah.
I think it adds, pretty lines to female body.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, it's muscles functional too.
Right.
It helps prevent you from injury. It adds shape to your body. You feel like your clothes better.
It's great to have heart health and do that conditioning, but I think it's at the age of 30 we naturally start losing 1 to 2% lean muscle tissue a year. That's why you have people in their 60s and 70s that can break a hip from falling. Studies say that if you strength train 3 days a week, you can basically minimize that 1 to 2% decrease or even like stabilize it somewhat. So, like you were saying, strength training is super important, not only for an aesthetics and making you look better,
Hmm.
but also for that long term
Right. Muscles
health and safety.
very protective, to your
Hmm.
bones. It can help with arthritis, back pain, several things.
So, being a former college runner, what do you tell the lady that uh, is against the idea of strength training because of fears of getting bulky?
Um, well, I guess it depends on, are we talking about somebody who's doing cardio,
Yeah.
like running
Yeah.
all the time?
Let's just say your first personal training client comes to you and they're just on the bike or the treadmill at Exalt right now.
Gotcha.
Sell
And
them.
there's nothing wrong with
No,
that,
no, not at all.
like, um, you know, I would say if you're going to do fitness, do something you love. But if you're wanting to do something that is sustainable, um, like you can't go run so many miles, like the rest of your life, or bike for an hour at a time, I think you get a lot of bang for your buck with strength training, because you're sending that signal to build muscle.
Right.
Whereas if you're always doing cardio, like muscle's expensive tissue, so it tends to pare down. So you're not actually like building muscle.
Right.
So when you're strength training, you're sending that, central nervous system signal, hey, I need to build muscle. Like I'm trying to get stronger. And that in itself will aid in like increased metabolism, fat loss if that's, your desire. It has several benefits. So I would try to talk about, all those benefits as opposed to just doing, being on a bike or
Yeah, they said 1 pound of lean muscle tissue added will burn 50 calories just to
right.
sustain a
Yeah.
day.
And I think sometimes we get caught up, like if you're doing these cardio things, you might get caught up, oh, I burned this amount of calories.
Right.
And then if I do strength training, if you look at your watch, I mean, it might be like 200 and something. And you've worked out, an hour and a half or something if you're doing like a bodybuilding style workout.
Right.
And you kind of look at that and you're like, oh, I'm not burning calories, but you're increasing your basal metabolic rate. And
Correct.
throughout the day, that muscle is going to help keep burning calories continuously rather than manually burning those calories.
Right. So when you do a cardio based workout, you basically quit burning calories 30 minutes to an hour after that workout's complete. And it was talking about 260 calories burned in a strength training workout, but we're not even taking into effect the energy that's being expended to repair that torn muscle fiber.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be 260 within the hour that you're doing the workout, but over the next 48 hours could be more like 1100.
Right.
So for you guys out there
It's very
listening,
beneficial.
yeah. And I would challenge, have you ever seen that picture of 5 pounds of muscle versus 5 pounds of fat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for you listeners that want to see the true benefit of lean muscle tissue in the body, go 5 pounds of muscle versus 5 pounds of fat, and you'll be blown away at the amount of space it takes.
Guilty.
So I want to provide listeners just now that you've been studying and I've been in the industry for a few years, I wanted to give the listeners some ideas of like top exercises for this or top things you can do for this. And so I thought you and I would just go back and forth with each other and give listeners some knowledge bombs here. So
Okay.
if I'm looking for 2 to 3 exercises that are going to help me gain the most strength, what are your go-tos?
Your big compound movements like barbell back squats, bench press, deadlifts. I love deadlifts. I
And so,
actually PR'd in my sumo deficit deadlift today.
what'd you hit?
205.
Nice. That is good for someone at your body weight. Um, and for you guys listening, compound movements, that is an exercise that is using multiple muscle groups
Mm-hmm.
within one lift. So um, you get a lot of bang for your buck there. And Hannah, wouldn't you know, you stole all 3 of mine.
Sorry.
Those are my 3. So that's why they call it powerlifting, because those movements help you get super strong. So, all right, you have a female client coming in, and this could be a male client, and they want their shoulders to look better. What are your top exercises for shaping someone's shoulders?
I've been thinking about this because I really like my shoulder day.
Mm-hmm.
I like right rows with the barbell.
Yep.
Um, and I like face pulls.
Yep. For your rears.
Delts.
Mm-hmm.
I had another one and I can't remember what it was, but I do a lot of like lateral arm raises too.
The segment's not going to be fun if we keep saying the same things. All Mine were going to be
Sorry.
shrug
I
or
like shrugs.
upright rows
Okay.
for building the
Yes.
shoulders upward.
Mhm.
And then if we're trying to really get some definition, the lateral raises, like Hannah's talking about. And then if you've ever seen a lady in a tank top that has like chiseled muscles in her shoulders, that's going to be like the face pulls or like any kind of rear delt
It
work.
helps with
So
posture too, your face
yeah,
pulls.
and I'm sitting here like slumped over right now.
I have bad posture sometimes. I try to be very conscious.
All right, tricep exercises. Give me your top 2 to 3.
Skull crushers.
Okay.
Was that one of yours?
No, first time
I
we
just
haven't
did those
agreed on
yesterday,
something.
but I like them.
For some reason, they make my elbow not feel good.
Okay.
So I don't tend to do those a lot.
Weighted tricep dips. That's
Yeah,
probably number one.
dips without a doubt. I'm big on like any kind of push down
Mm-hmm.
rope or straight bar.
Yes.
So, all right, bicep exercises.
I don't do a lot of biceps, honestly, because I
No.
do a lot of compound, but I just like your standard, like an alternating bicep curl.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like those. I like Zotman curls.
Okay. Got you. I am a big proponent. I like the barbell curl and then a hammer curl. Those are my two that like I can go knock 50 reps of those out each, and I've got a good pump.
Yeah.
So
I almost said hammer curl, but
leg shaping exercises. What do you got?
of course your squats,
Mm-hmm.
deadlifts, and I really have a love-hate relationship with Bulgarian split squats.
Yep.
Barbell.
Okay.
So that, I mean, I feel like that targets your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes. You can feel it in your inner thighs too.
I personally love some lunges, which also is very similar to the Bulgarian split
Yeah.
squat, like you're talking. And then I think like when it comes to making them just round out and look good, I'm a big fan of the leg extension. So, all right, what are 2 to 3 ways outside of exercise that a person could start feeling better within the next week?
Thing I would say is just pay attention to foods you eat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know we talk about this all the time, but try to limit your processed junk foods and try to focus on foods that have minimum ingredients, minimally processed. Your whole foods like meat if you eat meat, vegetables, fruits, and try to look at your labels and get to know what's on there.
For someone that's not good at reading a label or it's a foreign language to them, like what advice would you give them to just start eating cleaner? Like, or any?
Just try not to overcomplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
Just natural things like you know.
Basically, you're saying don't go down any aisles. Eat everything on the exterior, right?
Well,
I mean,
fresh produce.
yeah.
I mean, just keep it simple. It doesn't have to be like overly complicated.
Yeah. What else you got?
Um, Make sure you're hydrated.
That's the one thing that I can do that I can really feel a lot better, and then that I feel like a lot of people don't do because
Right.
of the inconvenience of having to use the restroom all the time.
And limiting your caffeine. I mean, I struggle with that
Oh,
too.
I'm terrible at that.
So, but I actually will notice like when I start tapering off caffeine and start like hydrating more, I have a lot more energy. And then when I do caffeine, I'm less tolerant to it. And
Okay.
so I feel the effects of it more.
So, are you a coffee drinker, or what's your go-to with caffeine?
Yeah, I drink coffee. I stopped drinking workout like a few months ago. So now when I get up, I don't even need it. Like sometimes I can get up and just go to the gym and I don't even need coffee.
It's good.
But generally, like before I go, I'll have coffee and then I'll, try to limit that. If I have one afternoon, that helps pick me up. But when you start limiting that, I feel like, your energy will go up.
Sleep for me is
Sleep.
so important.
Yeah. I
Set.
think we were talking one time. And I told you, I was like, oh, I go to bed like 12 or 1 a.m. And you were like, what?
Yeah, I can't
um,
even imagine.
I don't do that anymore. And when I
Okay, good.
started like getting up at 5 and, do my workout, working all day, I would just come home and like, I'm tired.
Yeah, you crash.
Yeah, you literally crash and sleep very, very well.
Right.
I don't wake up throughout the night.
Do you not? So what time are you going to sleep now?
Um, try to at least before 10. Sometimes I'll fall asleep around like 8:30.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
As I fell
Hey, I
asleep
don't
at
mind it.
8:35 last night. Um, One of the things that I was thinking about that Hannah hadn't mentioned to ways to feeling better was also cutting out gluten. I feel like it can just kind of like bog you down and then cause you to hold some extra water weight at times. So
I haven't personally cut it out,
have you not?
except for, well, I've done Whole 30 before,
Yeah,
but and I did feel very good when I did that.
that's the one diet I
But
feel like is almost starvation.
well, you have to be prepared.
Right.
You have to know like what you're gonna eat
I
ahead
feel
of
like
time,
that is the hardest
because if
diet
you're
though.
not prepared, then you're gonna starve.
Yeah. What are your go-to supplements?
Um, so I only do two supplements. Um, I use a vegan protein. Whey just personally doesn't agree with me. So
Hmm.
I know people will say whey is superior than vegan protein, but I mean, I haven't noticed any issues with gaining muscle mass with vegan protein. So I'm currently doing that. And then I use Vital Proteins Recovery, which has collagen, essential amino acids, branched chain amino acids, and I will drink that like throughout my workout because there's some carbs in there too. So it helps with like muscle endurance, recovery, and muscle building.
Cool. Tyler Mitten, who used to be also a CrossFit affiliate owner here in town, he came on board with us once he was growing in his UFC career, working with nutritionists, and he just kept preaching about creatine and how much bang for your buck there is with that, to the point where his dad, that's not even active, who's a truck driver, he has him on it because of just holding that extra water, especially if you're not going to be hydrated. Um, is just good for brain function and just performance all around. So I've been
Right.
taking that and I really like it. Yeah,
Yeah. My husband takes it. He notices a huge difference when he takes it.
huge.
I've never tried it. I've thought about trying it, so
Hmm.
maybe I'll do that in the future.
Cool. And then I'm big on whey protein, of course, and then fish oil. So
Okay.
yeah, I feel like I'm not as achy when I'm taking fish oil.
Yeah.
So all right, Hannah, want to wrap things up with you. One of my questions I like asking all of my guests, outside of you working on your certification right now, what is Hannah doing currently or looking to do in the near future that is going to continue to help getting better every day?
Um, just making sure I'm having a balanced lifestyle.
Okay.
Not only like with fitness, but spending times with friends, family. I mean, I think last year made us see that our time is very precious. And just having work in the hospital, um, you know, seeing how patients can have all these comorbidities. So if we can help like mitigate some of that through like working out, eating good, resting, um, I think that will help all of us. So that's what I'm striving for.
Cool. I love it. Well, good luck finishing up with your certification.
Thank you.
And hopefully, we'll have you out in the field and, like myself, helping other people get healthier
Hopefully.
in the near future. So,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, thanks for coming on today, listeners. Thank you all for tuning in. And we'll be back down here with Leighton here in a week or two. Thanks.